everybody, and welcome to Forever Wild. We're going to be talking about primitive technology this week. We're going to be talking about spears, the evolution of spears using river cane. The original spear used with river cane was cut at a 45 degree and it was fire hardened. Right here at the joint of the river cane, they cut it at 45 degrees. It works pretty well. You throw it from the thick end forward, thin end behind it, from a balance point like this. When you throw it from various distances. I'm going to throw it really shortly so you can see. Take it and you throw it, it sticks into a target. All right, so that's spear number one. Spear number two, okay, socketed, hardened, fire hardened tip. Okay, this happens to be one we got at a local hardware store that was baked in a kiln, so it represents a fire hardened tip. It's also painted with a little white paint, so it's not totally authentic, but it's close. If you look, it's socketed, it's got sinew around the front. Okay, it's got a really good balance to it. Once again, thick ends in the front, socketed point. You can pull this in and pull it out. It would hit the animal and it would come out and save the spear for another shot. Okay, you would take this, balance point. Always get it at a balance point so it doesn't shoot too far over the target. You throw it and it knocks the target over, okay? It hits really hard. It's really good for hunting heavier animals. Okay, third spear. This is actually a type of dart. This is a socketed point dart made out of river cane. It's a little bit later in technology. It's called an addle dart. All right. And what the addle is a throwing stick. We'll go over in just a second. It's got a socketed tip on it, made out of river cane. It's cut at a 45 degree. And it's got a hollow point. Okay. It's the exact same procedure. You just balance it. You can either throw it with your arm or you can throw it with an addle spear. You throw it with your arm, it does stick. It sticks fairly well, but it doesn't go as far as it would with an addle throwing stick. Now we're going to explain ourselves to you. You can throw this thing probably 15, 20 yards by hand, okay? But an addle is a throwing stick that extends your arm reach the length of your forearm here. It's basically cut the length of your forearm. It's got a notch in the end of it. That's the addle throwing stick. Take it, socket it into the rear end of the dart, holding pressure back toward your finger, push your fingers back toward the knot here, holding the addle dart balanced. Take this thing and you balance it and you throw it kind of forward and out. So as you go, you throw it a little bit forward and out. And it goes a lot further, probably 2 to 3 times as far as a normal spear. So that's called an addle throwing stick and a throwing dart. All right. Now the last couple of technologies we went over, we've got a fishing spear here. This was used for fishing. It's got 3 notches in the end. It's got 3 prongs. You catch onto the fish, take it, hold it in a balanced position, stick it into the fish and pull it back. That fish sticks into these 3 prongs. It's a really neat way of using technology there with river cane. All right, you look right here. This is also primitive technology. This is simply an arrow made out of river cane. It's just as light as our modern day carbon fiber arrows, but it's been made for thousands of years. And it has fletching on the back of it, made by splitting a couple of feathers down the middle. And it's got 3 feathers on this one. And it's got right here the artificial sinew. Okay, we know sinew is the back tendon of a deer wrapped around it to hold the feathers on. It's also glued down with Native American super glue, which is basically pine pitch that you melt with fire, mix it with carbon from the fire, and it makes the super glue that holds this thing down. So these things were shot just like modern day bows and arrows. So going evolutionary back in history to a little bit more modern history, you can see how everything from bison and buffalo were hunted in South Carolina up to the late 1700s, early 1800s. Bison used to roam freely in South Carolina. It was only the invention of bringing in modern firearms, that's when bison became extinct in this area. So it's a really neat technology. It has a lot to do with our history and our past. River cane is a really functional tool for primitive survival. Get out there and try to make some of this stuff. If you're a child, make sure you do it with parental supervision and make sure that everybody watches that you do this thing safely. But for Forever Wild, I'm Ben Abercrombie. Enjoy your primitive technology.